We are in 1986. Argentina wins the World Cup of soccer. Chernobyl becomes the worst nuclear accident in history. Top Gun is the blockbuster movie. And the Ford Motor Company gives life to Golden Potato, a Ford 350 Econoline Corsair Exceller ready for thousands adventures. During her 37 years, Potato's first owner was not as enthusiastic about RV life as he thought, and she was sold back to a dealer shortly after. She was purchased again a few years later by a family who took her on adventures from southwestern Ontario to Florida and points in between. As the family grew older and the trips became fewer, they decided to part with Potato. This is where we come in. For now, we are a trio composed of me, my wife and a young daughter who baptized our darling Golden Potato, inspired by her favorite Indiana Jones movie. Together, we undertook a memorable adventure from campground to campground on the long journey from London, Ontario to Glenelg, Nova Scotia. Over the hill and into the valleys of the long drive through Ontario, Quebec, New Brunswick and Nova Scotia, Golden Potato turned heads everywhere and people stopped to admire her beauty. She even braved the ferry crossing from Nova Scotia to Prince Edward Island on the trip back. And I almost forgot her inseparable friend Wendy, the terrifying haunted doll.
Always watching me. Someone's always there. When I'm sleeping, he just waits and he stares.
The trip ultimately proved to be too strenuous for her, as she came to a definitive stop in Gananoque, Ontario, about 450 kilometers from her home in London. This vlog will detail the regeneration of the entire engine and the process of getting the Golden Potato out of the driveway and back on the road for new and exciting adventures, not only in Canada, but all over the world. If this interests you, please follow our journey. So, because I don't need to move Potato for a while, at least until the engine will be completely rebuilt, I will start removing both front seats. In this way, I will be able to detach the inside engine cover, and I will have a lot of space to work on the rear of the engine. Both front seats rotate on themselves after pulling a lever under the seat covers. Just don't do that while driving. I'm planning to drop a couple of towels down in the corridor to keep the seats out of my way. Both seats are attached to the body of the vehicle by 4 19mm bolts. The bolts are not rusted as I thought, and they come out pretty easily. Now that the fourth bolt are removed, I'm going to disconnect the safety belt attachment from the seat with a beautiful 19mm combination wrench. And the first seat is ready to be extracted. The seat plate left a perfectly squared patch of rust over the carpet, which doesn't worry me that much. The first seat rests on towels back in the corridor. Time to start with the second seat, raising the covers with a bungee cord and some clamps. This time the 19mm bolts are a bit more tight. I had to use an hammer that was passing by and volunteered to work. Under the driver's seat I found that the cable of the seatbelt pretensioner was also disconnected. After disconnecting the pretensioner and the seatbelt, the second seat is removed, leaving the same exact rusty patch. The driver's seat joined the other seat in the corridor. Finally, the inside engine cover can be removed. The two bolts that attach the cover to the floor has been previously taken off. Now only the two latches keeps the cover on. The cover comes easily off, discovering the back of the 460 V8. Golden Potato has two batteries. It's time now to extract both batteries and put Potato to sleep for a while. With the help of a 13mm combined wrench and a tiny flat rusty screwdriver, I'm going to disconnect first the negative of the left battery. The reason why you always disconnect the negative one first is to avoid the short circuits in case you touch the chassis of the vehicle with the wrench while disconnecting the positive. In blurry conditions I disconnect then the positive. An old badly patched piece of plastic keeps the battery in position, no more. I'm going to disconnect it with my 13mm wrench. After 2 continuous weeks of unscrewing fine threads bolts, the ugly piece of plastic comes off and disposed accordingly into the magic box with the rest of the bolts we have seen so far. The right battery has a rusty plating metal that keeps the battery in place. Time to remove it as well. Now notice how by accident I disconnect the positive first of the right battery. You should give me a thumb down only for this reason. Whoever worked on these cables in the past did a very good tangle job. I have to disconnect each cable to extract the battery. The batteries are out, and that's it for this episode. In the next one, I will continue with the radio amplifier and other components around the engine. If you enjoyed the video, give me a thumbs up, leave a comment below, subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching and stay tuned.